This is the last chance for them to sign a good document. I think we're going to maybe get something, but I want to give them every last chance before decapitation.
A last chance threat from President Trump, sending an ominous warning to Iran, despite his threats of, quote, the biggest attack since World War II. Now, Iran says talks are off, leading many to wonder how much longer before strikes are going to start back up again. For more, let me bring in Steve Yates. He's a senior research fellow for China and national security at the Heritage Foundation, and he previously served as deputy national security advisor for Vice President Cheney. Steve, always good to have you. You know, it seems like we've entered this pattern where strikes happen, the president pulls back, says Iran wants to negotiate, only for Iran to say, no, we don't. What's happening here, and who's not telling the truth?
Well, I think that we are in a frustrating cycle that is, I would follow a sports analogy, which is perilous, I understand, but like the 80-20 rule, where we've done about 80% of what we needed to do in order to get this to a manageable and acceptable cost arrangement for maintenance. But this last 20% is the hardest. And the last 20%, I think, is the serious degradation of the role the IRGC plays inside Iran and in the economic terrorism that they use to polarize markets and divide the region. And that, I think, is the hardest part. I don't think that you can negotiate your way through that. I think that we're going to have to, with our allies, take concerted efforts, and we're going to have to keep maximum pressure up until we get that strategic result.
And when you talk about maximum pressure, and you just hear the president right off the top there, I played that soundbite where he says, this is the last chance. Is it truly the last chance? And what do you think the president's next move should be if this round of talks is not fruitful?
Unfortunately, with repeated use of the words last chance, it sort of cheapens the currency in the target audience, which is partly the international community, but mostly the IRGC leadership. That, I think, is a bit of a problem in terms of how we're trying to manage expectations. I have some sympathy for the president because he's trying to also massage energy markets and broader diplomatic concerns while he moves towards this maximum pressure position. But ultimately, I think, again, going back to basics, the most successful part of this military campaign was at the beginning when we had an extraordinary joint operation with the Israelis. In the months since, some other nations have been hit by the IRGC, and they have capability and hopefully some willingness to participate, and they probably have a better intelligence picture on the ground inside Iran than we do, and we are the ones that want to maintain air and sea superiority and technological superiority, but not boots on the ground. So that division of labor, I think, is where we have to go back, and I think we have to hit the IRGC very, very hard if we're going to get to some new arrangement. But this repeat cycle on we're going to take them back to the Stone Age or we're going to have a deal that keeps the peace, I just don't think that's working much longer.
What, if anything, has changed between now and when we reached that memorandum of understanding back in June? I mean, anything markedly different between now and then, Steve?
Just the real world experience of more countries feeling the brunt of what it's like to have to deal with the IRGC in its current role. And I think it's one of the things that if you're not going to have an Iraq 2.0 kind of invade, occupy, and run strategy, which I oppose, and I think it's right for the president in terms of American voters' position, you're going to have to deal in this middle ground. And when you do that, it's better for the Iranians who excel at political manipulation and warfare not to be able to just isolate us with their accusations. Others at the table, others on the receiving end of their hits, others on the receiving end of their lies, perhaps give us better options for managing this and pushing for a better outcome. But that's the muddle that we're in.
Yeah, and you know, Iran's foreign ministry is adamant right now that they're negotiating with Oman and not Washington. Do you find it strange that they're willing to publicly negotiate with a third-party mediator, but, you know, not even admit to direct talks with the United States?
Well, traditionally, you would get to a point where you're talking through a peace accord or a final surrender by having completely destroyed the ability of the enemy to conduct warfare against you. And if you're not doing that, then you would be going through mediators to try to get a ceasefire that could hold under certain conditions. It is a little unusual what the Iranians are doing, where they very obviously have been engaged in negotiations and then with a straight face tell the world and their people that there are no negotiations. So I guess in short, they lie. That's not a headline after 40 plus years of lying, but it does, I think, frustrate the president and frustrate a broader public who's just trying to get a handle on where is this going to land. And it's hard to see right now, even though I think a lot of the ingredients for getting to an appropriate place are on the horizon.
Yeah, and when you talk about where it's going to land, confusion, uncertainty, quickly before I let you go, is this starting to smell like a forever war, or at least much more long-term than, you know, these first, 5 months at this point?
Well, I may be an outlier, but I have an allergy for the term forever war because I think we've been in some very, very long wars, multiple year, and I don't think that this has the ingredients of that situation.
Okay.
But it is going longer than expectations were set for when we had the early stages of this campaign saying that they are completely decimated, there is nothing they can do. And you could arguably go back to a point a couple of months ago where maybe there was more that we could have done at that point, maybe with Carg Island, maybe with some other options. It's easy in retrospect to find those things. So this is going longer than expectations were set for, but I think it's pretty far away from forever. It's just difficult politically. And that part, I think, is just the reality of what a president has to face with a tough counterpart.
Steve Yates, I got to end it there for now, but thank you as always for your time and your deep analysis, sir. We'll chat again in a bit. It is 1/2 past the hour, everybody.